Okay, just getting the pop-out windows ready. There we go. Chat windows afloat. So now I can see you guys talk. Hello, everybody. Hope you're having a great Friday and a good end to the week. It's a nice, beautiful, sunny day here. And Hurricane Lee is on its way in. So I don't know how the weekend's going to turn out. But I might be doing some fall cleaning before the winter. That would be a good thing. Don't think I need the air conditioners and the fans and all that, so they can go away. So yeah, another version of a spring cleaning because during the winter we cannot open up the windows and the doors. So, and with two cats and two big fur balls running around all the time, time to get to do some cleaning this weekend and also this afternoon. I might actually do some rust proofing on my truck. I may or may not record it or stream it. I don't know yet. Don't think it's something that's very interesting, but it's a sort of a DIY project, so maybe some people would be interested in that. We will just see how that goes. Okay. What am I going to talk about today? What are we going to talk about today? Well, last night I saw really two good shows. One, you might be surprised to hear me say it. Wheel of Time. I loved last night's episode. And strangely enough, I watched it in the second place because I know that the first show was going to be great. And in case there was going to be a letdown, it wouldn't be as bad. I was afraid of watching Wheel of Time first and falling asleep, especially after last week's episode, which, if you saw my review, I was not a fan of. Everybody was just talking about their feelings. And I am so over that. But Wheel of Time yesterday was actually quite good. I really enjoyed it, strangely enough. There was a lot of action and some mysteries and enigmas and how do you call it when, you lie about stuff and plan a scheme and do stuff like that. So I was really, really caught up in the story yesterday. And the other show that was absolutely season finale, and it was, and that would be Foundation. Wow, 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 wow. Well, again, if you watch my previous review of last week's show, I was like, I hope they explain how he came back because he was dead. Well, pretty much for the first 10 minutes of the show, they explain how, in very, very elaborate detail, they explain it to me, how Harry survived the drowning. Because for the past, 5 shows, we were led to believe that, yeah, Harry is gone. And then all of a sudden, he's back in the last episode for a total of 2 minutes, or maybe 1 minute. I'm like, how? Where? Why? How did this happen? Well, it happened, and they explained how. I mean, whether you want to believe it or not, I guess it's kind of based on the book and the novels, so okay, maybe that happened in the novel, and it was very intense to try to figure out what everything that they did to pretend that he was dead. Wow. But then, I mean, I'm starting to watch the show and I'm like, really, really, really? Are they gonna go to this length to explain everything in the show. I hope not, because this is going to put me to sleep. But I also had to, face the fact that last week I was saying, I hope they explain it because it doesn't make sense. Well, it makes sense, and they explained it, and okay, I get it. Don't know if you had to go to 10 minutes to explain it to me, but if you wanted it to be believable, I guess they did have to go to that length to get their point across, but then the show kicks into high gear. Emperor Day, Brother Day bites the dust in phenomenal, phenomenal fashion. And Brother Brother Dusk also said his goodbyes. And that was a kind of a sad story. Strange how you can love the person that's going to end you. That is really Dermazel's story last week. I was so happy to get to know the backstory. Unfortunately, she has some programming, and even though she may or may not, we don't know if she truly loves or if it's programming because she's AI, if she loves her surroundings or is she a prisoner with a lot of built up anger. We don't know that yet. And we probably may never know, or maybe season 3 will let us know. But it was really, really phenomenal. And unfortunately, okay, now that we see that death comes and goes in this show in incredible fashion, we are kind of left wondering if any death is kind of, sort of final. Is there any gonna be any gravitas to this show? Because if people just die and come back in the next show, then you can't. You, you just disconnect at some point. I mean, okay, you want to imitate Game of Thrones and kill everybody every week. That's one way to go. But if they keep coming back, then it loses its impact. But again, we lost somebody, a character from the beginning. Spoiler alerts, Salvor does not make it through the show. And I'm left wondering because there is a vision of the future where she is there. But then before dying yesterday, she's like, yeah, well, see, the future is not written in stone. Things can change. And her passing proves that. I am not convinced. She may or may not come back, but she's been there since the very beginning. So it will be interesting to see how the show evolves, given the fact that she's like the first character we meet in the show. I'm kind of sad that she did leave. I thought that this season kind of didn't explore the full potential of this character. She was I don't want to say a crybaby, but she was such a strong woman in the first season, and she had all this talents and all of this survival instinct that they really trimmed it to the essentials in this season. I mean, if you're gonna really write her off, give her a lot of screen time and make us fall in love with this character, that it really hits when she's leaving, I think that they, yes, we went the route of like brother, the Emperor brother Dawn. really had a lot going for him this season. Uh, a lot of character development. And even yesterday, given that his two older clones kind of bit the dust in different ways, it was nice to see his perspective and his way of dealing with things. And all I would say is I was all over the place and everything was phenomenally done. And even last week, I was like, this is sci-fi. This is how you destroy ships and planets. Well, you would think that everybody on the planet died last week, but no, the vault. The vault can save everybody. And it kind of did. Spoiler, I told you. Yeah, so if everybody's not dying, why did Salvor had to die? So I don't know anymore if she's gone for good or are they going to find a way to bring her back. It kind of really felt final yesterday. But then again, Harry, even though he's got multiple versions, he's got holograms of himself, he had biological versions of himself. Like even though he died, there was other versions out there of him, but yet they brought the biological one back. I don't know. I don't know how all of this is going to play out. But yeah, so last night I watched two shows and I was really, really enjoying both of them. Strangely enough, yes. Especially, I've seen like four shows in a well, last week's, Foundation has not let me down yet. There's been some slower episodes, but never uninteresting episodes. Unlike The Winter King that just, what? You're like, what? What? What the fudge? What the fudge? The entire show is like, no, it doesn't make sense. And then you have Invasion where the story's good, but teenagers, doing their teenager things and kids, the younger sister getting on my nerves like crazy. The entire show just, was like these nails on a chalkboard. People don't know what chalkboards are anymore, but, just screeching on the chalkboard the entire show. I was like, oh man, this is good for getting the younger audience and all that kind of stuff. But for me personally, it was more than annoying, and I just wanted to tune out the entire show. For the longest time, I was wondering what was going to happen to Casper. And then we kind of know, but the entire show just gets on my nerves. Then last week's episode of Wheel of Time, so it's like three episodes I see almost one after the other, and they're like, man, I don't have any more hair to pull out. That's the thing. If I had some hair, I would pull it out. I don't have any more hair to pull it out. So last night I was really surprised. I watched Foundation and I'm like, wow. And it left me in a good humor, in a good shape to watch The Wheel of Time. And this week's episode, the story moved in so many directions. I am very, very lost. Because there's so many side stories going on and I don't know who is what anymore. I really, really would have needed to rewatch the first season, I'm thinking, to get back into the second. Unlike Foundation, at first I'm like, okay, I haven't seen the first season in a while. Will I be able to catch up? Will I be able to remember? But the story just kept moving forward. Whereas Wheel of Time, there seems to be some characters that, okay, I enjoy this character, but am I forgetting something? Did I forget something? Was this covered in the first season and I am not remembering what I saw? So there's a few parts all over the place that, okay, maybe some of it I forgot. Maybe some of it is covered in the first season. But there's enough of a story in the second season to, okay, well, we're going here with these characters. We're going there with those characters. It's, for me, I kind of get it. But it's always been something that's been annoying to me is that you have a team and the team's like, okay, we are going to face the obstacles together. And 2 minutes later, everybody in the team breaks up and goes their own separate ways. And then you have all these stories to follow. That really got on my nerves in, what was it called? The Walking Dead. Man, I'm like, really? You're in the apocalypse and all this stuff is going on. And instead of sticking together to make it through every single problem that you might face, everybody just splits up and creates more problems to the point where you can't keep track. Hey, kitty cat. Come on, come and see daddy. Is that what you want? That's what you want. You just want to grab my attention because you want to go back outside, but I'm doing my show. This little tiger here is the star of the show, people. I've been putting out videos of this little creature, furball of a tiger, and he's getting more views than I ever had doing all of this effort, all of this work, and a little 15-second video gets thousands of views for this little guy. So yes, YouTube is still a lot of cat videos. Strangely enough. You gonna come to daddy? Or are you just gonna lay there? Yeah, he's a good boy. He's a good boy. So, he doesn't know how he's gonna get my attention for me to let him go outside. That's what he wants. Not on the keyboard, because the last time you did that, you activated OneDrive, and everything on my desktop was gone. And I need all my files to stream. All this here, I'm trying to stay in camera here. All of this here is all on my desktop. And OBS needs these files to run the interface and stuff, and when all of that's gone, and it took me like 2 hours to resolve my OneDrive, which was really, really annoying. I was not happy about him. I don't know how he activated it. It was just lying on the keyboard, and the next thing I know, stuff was disappearing from my desktop, going to OneDrive. Yeah, not practical OneDrive. I really hate Disney's for that. Disney? I meant Microsoft, but yeah, okay. I didn't want to talk about Disney today. Things are not going good, and they're still lying, saying everything's fine, everything's dandy. But, yeah, no, things are not going good. It's pretty obvious to me that they are looking to sell Disney to Apple. And with the strike in Hollywood and everything else going on, it's hard to care. Whereas the auto union in the States are on strike. Canada, they are at the negotiating table. They are trying to talk things over. But in the States, they are just on strike. And I don't know how that's going, but I care more about the auto workers than I do Hollywood writers and actors, because I'm finding the silver lining. Yes, yesterday again, even in Wheel of Time, Men should not be doing magic. You dirty it. You make it dirty. But okay, I guess it's one of the core things on. There's an agenda in the book, and I get it. I get it. I mean, it's like back in the day when we used to do shows and TVs and we had stay at home moms. Moms had to stay at home. No, I don't know if we should actually go back to that time because, everybody's like, oh, if a woman was in charge of a country, we wouldn't have wars. And yet we have women in charge of countries now and all this stuff. And the world seems to be in a far worse off situation than it was 50 years ago. So, can we all blame it on this? I don't know. Maybe not. Probably not. But is it a factor? Yeah, definitely a factor. We just have to take it one day at a time. See how things go for now. So yes, there's a lot of messaging and they put it up there up front in the show. But like I said, if you give me a story, then I will. It's okay. I can deal with it. And people have been saying that yes, it's very female Mary Sue. But then again, one of the main actresses lost her power, so even though she has a big role on the show, she is not all powerful Mary Sue. And strangely enough, within the episode, she's like talking to her sister, and her sister says, well, does he really need your protection? And she turns around and thinks about it, and maybe he can protect himself, and in the process, protect both of us. So within the show, she's like, well, maybe the man can save us. I'm like, okay. And then we're having another show where we have this badass woman fighter warrior thing. But she's in a jail cell and therefore. Hey! No! She's in the jail cell and needs a man to save her. Then she's like, oh, I'm in the service of you because you saved me. I mean, he did not save your life. Well, maybe he did, but you were in a jail cell. I don't know if that could be considered saving a life, because at some point she could have probably saved herself, as it was not like you're on the chopping block and your life is about to end right then and there, and then Robin Hood swings in to save your life. No, it was something different. And we got to see a little bit of other male characters doing good things and having a beer and doing stuff. So the show gets a lot of criticism for being, about the woman and woman powers and stuff. But I'm still enjoying the show. There's still a story. Yes, there is a man and he's one of the bad guys. There's a lot of women in this thing, a lot. Very few men. I mean, there's like 20 women cast and 2 or 3 men. And out of those 3 men, one of them plays the baddie. So, yes, it's not representation when you have that very few men in a show. But I still like it. I still, really enjoyed the movie, not the movie, the episode. It was a lot of fun. If you give me a good story and stuff and action to follow and some dialogue that's not corny, that moves the story forwards, that gives it a sense of purpose, then yeah, okay, I'll watch it. I'm in. I mean, Foundation is not the greatest thing ever, but it's not fan service, but they are giving the fans what they want. There's a lot of concepts in that show that I really enjoy. And I haven't read the books. So for me, it's all new. I don't know what's going to happen. Like, how can I compare it to? Okay, you never seen the books, so yes, they were spending the first 10 minutes explaining how Harry survived and is alive. And I like that they're doing it because it's not letting the viewer hanging, having to fill out the blanks of stuff that doesn't make any sense. If he's dead, he's dead. We all saw him dead. How can he still be alive? So they kind of have to explain what was going on for him to fake his death. Whereas, if you want to compare it with, let's say, Ahsoka, Star Wars Ahsoka, which is, I'm guessing, not guessing, but after Luke Skywalker, she is like my number one character of all time in Star Wars that I really like because I watched the Clone Wars. I did not watch Rebel. I saw a couple of episodes of Rebel and I saw a couple of her appearances. I didn't like it. It felt very much, well, we need to get the viewers from Clone Wars watching Rebels, so we're going to bring back this character and we're just going to make it up as we go. George Lucas isn't there no more to give a certain linear vision to the show. So, but then you're watching Ahsoka, and well, this is inspired from Rebels. This is inspired from the Clone Wars cartoon animated series. And they're not explaining anything to the viewers. They're just like, well, the viewers need to watch this in order to understand Ahsoka. So basically, nobody's getting invested in Ahsoka if they haven't seen anything else because they can't follow who are all these people. Why are we doing this? What's the main goal? Why do we want to save Ezra? Who's Sabine? Who are all these people? We don't care about them. And they don't explain anything. They just assume that you watch the other shows for you to understand. And I never saw, obviously, the season finale of Rebels, so I don't know what happened to Ezra, so I don't know why we need to save him. There's also an individual, a Jedi called Hanan, or I forget his name. But apparently he had a child, which, again, Jedis are not supposed to be emotionally invested in people, and yet he has a child. So they're just inventing right, left, and center other Anakins. Anakin was supposed to be the oddball, and they explain how he turned to the dark side because of his emotions, because he created ties with people that he shouldn't have. You're a peacekeeper. You're not supposed to be invested in one side or the other, just be invested in the truth. And so now every Jedi is a fallen Jedi. You can't get invested in a show because you don't know what's going on. He has kids, so now the kid is force sensitive. But they don't explain none of this in Ahsoka. Okay, how did a Jedi meet a woman and fall in love and create a child? Isn't that Anakin's story of Luke and Leia? I'm confused. How is this supposed to happen? How does it keep happening? Why are they running out of imagination and just rehashing the same old stories? But they're not explaining none of it in Ahsoka. They just assume that you watched and read and everything else. You've read the books, Heir to the Empire, so you know that parts of the story to get Thrawn is partly responsible for those novels. Then you know that this kid exists and the mother and stuff, and she's a general and all these reasons because we assume you saw all the animated and cartoon series. So nobody's following the story. Nobody cares about these characters. And Disney doesn't understand why it's not popular. Why nobody's watching the show. They don't understand. They're not explaining anything to the viewer. You want us to get invested in a story? Well, tell a story that doesn't depend on 30 other stories. Like, it's one thing for me to forget what happened in season 1 and go back to it. But if it's explained in season 1, then yeah, there it is. If I watch a show in 5 years and I binge watch everything, I'll understand everything and I won't forget as much. Whereas now it's like, I don't know, you gotta watch, I don't know, 500 episodes. I don't know how many episodes, but it could be like 100, it could be 200 episodes of Rebels. There was like 20 episodes, 25 episodes a season, and they went on for 5 seasons? Maybe 7, I forget. And some came out like 5 years after they canceled the series, so, not everybody stayed on to find out what happened in the end. So, yeah. Okay, folks. Again, it's been fun chatting with you. Hopefully, you've gotten some insight on some of these shows. I do really want to do an in-depth review of both of these shows. I don't know when and if I'll do it. I definitely want to do it because Foundation's worth it. The season finale was phenomenal. Wheel of Time, as much as, well, my videos of Wheel of Time are getting traction compared to Foundation, which is not, and it's a so much better show. But one's fantasy, the other one's sci-fi. I'm enjoying both shows. I'll be sad to see them go. And, well, all I can say to you folks is thank you for watching. And if you didn't like what I've said, thank you for sticking this long. But hopefully you give me a like and a subscribe and you check out some of my other reviews and shows and come in here and talk to me. And thank you to all your 140 subscribers. Much appreciated. This past month has gone into a boom. Hopefully that trend will keep on going. Very much appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. It gives me courage to keep on pushing, even though I am not the most popular. But everybody that do watch my shows says you're good at this and keep on going at it. So be safe out there, and hopefully I'll catch you on the weekend. Bye-bye.